Hello, everybody. Welcome in to Roosters on Olentangy River Road here in Columbus, Ohio. This is Lettermen Live, brought to you by our good friends at Roosters. A fun, casual conversation in a fun, casual joint about the Buckeyes. It's finally championship season. Anthony Schlegel, the difference down there. For the first time on Lettermen Live, Justin Zwick, the QB. He was on doing some Buckeye Qs with me a couple weeks ago. Great to have him with us, hanging out at Lettermen Row. You guys know this guy, Mike Doss. All right, guys, I don't know how much time we have to spend on Rutgers, 56-21. That seemed like Ohio State just wanted to get it out of the way. They knew it was coming with Penn State this week, Michigan next week, and the rivalry and everything that comes with it. We talked about whether Ohio State could get through it. I predicted 91-0. I was way off. I got to get that out of the way.
It could have been.
It's still the middle of the first quarter. Yeah. I'm like, this is what I thought. I'm going to look really smart. Yep. And then it kind of once Garrett Wilson muffed that fumble, it was like, okay, let's stop here. Let's try and get out. I mean, that was the sense I had in the stadium. I don't know what you guys thought watching. You guys know what it's like if there's just a few thousand people in the stands and you know that you're supposed to win. It just felt like Ohio State wanted to get it out of the way.
I think that's probably how it's been for the last 2 weeks. Having Maryland come in, knowing you're supposed to just take care of business. Now you're on the road. It's cold. It's windy. You're in front of a couple thousand people like you talked about. It's hard to get up for a game like that.
They said there was 38,000 of them, all Ohio State media. It was the 38,000.
It was the people chanting OHIO in the stands, and then it was us trying to crank out some stories because we want to come home too. I mean, I want to cover the games that matter. I've been excited for the last 2 weeks and maybe 3 with Indianapolis. This is what, it feels like we said Nebraska or Wisconsin, like there's a test. Ohio State's going to get a test. Like this has to be it, right? I mean, it's time for it to get kicked up a notch.
You got the number 19 in the country, coming in. We've had our ups and downs and back and forth with James Franklin, so it's exciting for Coach Day and Franklin to kick off their series and kind of, see what it's all about.
Schlegs, that game was an opportunity for a lot of young guys to get on the field on Saturday at Rutgers. I'm talking about. And so much of it is, if I'm right, that they just wanted to avoid injuries. I mean, they didn't take, guys like Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper, Austin Mack. They stayed home. Damon Arnett could have played, didn't.
Right.
Is that a tape where you ignore that for Ohio State? Are you just trying to see the young guys? How would you look at what Saturday night meant as you spin it forward for the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, every tape matters. Every play matters because you're getting evaluated on how you perform every single time. So what they're going to look at is how do we get stopped on the goal line, right? What are the turnovers, right? We've been so good in the turnover margin, plus 11 going into that game. Like, okay, guys, didn't execute. We had fumbles on the defensive side of the ball. We got some interceptions. Like, that's good, right? We had some fumbles there. So they're going to take all of those things and say, listen, here's how you performed, right, and this goes into where you are next year. This goes into where you go into bowl prep. This goes onto the depth chart of where you're going to be in the next 2 games. So, again, every time you step on the field, you have an opportunity to maximize yourself to your teammates and to your coaches. So they're always looking at you. Never throw tape out the door, right? Okay. The good things that you saw was a really efficient quarterback of 14 of 19 and 300-plus yards from Justin Fields. You saw guys on the offensive side of the ball. Olave had a huge day. Tight end making a great catch in the right corner of the end zone, right? Some great passes that he was throwing. Being able to run the ball, which you're going to have to do this week against Penn State, that will set up the pass for us. So all those different things you like. What you didn't like was the 14 points being given up to them with our twos, right, with our backups and our third string guys, because at the end of the day, you have a standard to uphold. Regardless who's playing, you're the number 1 defense in the country. You're giving up 8 points a game, and you gave up 21 points to Rutgers, right? So you didn't grade out as a champion. I didn't really get to look at who the champions were this week, but ultimately that is the standard. Regardless of where you are in the pecking order, you have to go live up to that standard. So that's how they'll go back and evaluate this tape, and I guarantee you those guys that were younger that were playing, they're going to have a great week of practice, which is only going to give our ones a great look this week going into Penn State.
It's interesting that, the way Rutgers played, I think they played hard. I'm not going to take anything away from them. I obviously belittled them a lot last week before the game and had that score prediction. But, Mike, sometimes you get stuff out of that. Rutgers could run a little bit at the quarterback position. It did some option looks that Ohio State didn't defend as well as maybe they wanted to. that could be stuff that you're going to see from Penn State as well, especially that mobile quarterback situation.
Absolutely. I think, what Penn State will do, they'll see what kind of, big chunk plays that Rutgers pulled off, see if they can, match that up with their play style, play calling, and just get the Buckeyes in a few matchups. Again, we had our second team and our third team guys in there, but they'll just try to see the basics of the defense and see, hey, do we have an advantage here? Can we make a play with our quarterback? Hopefully, they'll come out with a whole new game plan and try to really dominate run the ball. I think they'll try to control the clock. They don't want to give us that, 8 to 12 series of offense. They're going to try to keep it down to like 6 or 8 and make, average 2 a quarter and see if we can put up points. They're going to slow it down and try to keep it real tight from the beginning.
Justin, it's been a few weeks since we were talking about Fields and the offense and the way Ohio State's expanding the passing attack. The first 300-yard game, 4 more touchdowns, 41 total now for Justin Fields. How are you seeing him progress as this season goes on?
I mean, the kid's been outstanding. Coming into the year, you just weren't sure what to expect. You knew you had a great athlete, a young guy coming into a new system. How was he going to gel with the coaches? How was he going to gel with his players? And, man, from day one, it's just he fits perfectly. I don't even know that he's the quarterback that Ryan Day really wants. I think he sees more of a passer, a pocket passer. But Justin can do that. And then he gives you the extra ability of going out and making plays with his legs. And, that puts so much pressure on the defense as far as, is he going to hand it to J.K. Dobbins? Or is he going to keep it? Or is he going to play action, throw it downfield? So, and it just makes the defense, account for so much more having him back there and the high level that he's playing. And then you just got 2 big games you got to figure out. You got to put that cherry on top of that season. With these last 2 games or last 3 games, hopefully will be a chance to do that.
It's wild. We've been talking about 3 Heisman candidates on this team, and Fields had sort of slipped to number 3, I think, in some people's minds because J.K. was playing so well. Chase Young after the Wisconsin game. Now people are starting, I think, Schlegs, you tell me if I'm off base on this, but when you got 41 touchdowns accounted for and you're playing a half most weeks, I mean, it's hard to get that attention, but I think people are starting to wise up to that. Have you sensed a change when you look at those guys that maybe Fields is starting to get a little more and more of that love and deserves it?
Well, you brought up a great stat before this friendly conversation at a fun casual joint. That being so, what was the stat you had against Joe Burrows and Justin Fields?
So this is not meant to take anything away from Joe Burrow. He is a worthy number 1 in that race right now. But the number that we looked at over the weekend is 156 throws, passing attempts and carries for Joe Burrow in the second half of games this season. That number for Justin Fields is 78. I mean, that's a huge difference in the number of opportunities. Half. Exactly half.
Yep.
And, again, that's not to diminish what Joe Burrow did. He went on the road and beat Alabama. He's up there for a reason. But they both have 41 touchdowns accounted for. Joe Burrow has done it against pretty good competition, but so has Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. And he's just only he's coming out against Wisconsin. That's the most he got to play, I think, all year. He's not missing. He's not getting these opportunities to status.
Going up to this last week, though, he had never had a 250-yard passing day.
Right, correct.
So the numbers just don't jump off at the, off the paper at you like maybe Joe Burrow does, and unfortunately, the Heisman's turned into a lot of, what are the numbers?
Yeah,
what do the numbers look at the end of the year?
Right,
a lot of these voters probably just say, all right, it's the end of the year. I got to vote for my Heisman. Who had the best year? Oh, Joe Burrow had a lot of yards and this and that and the other. Let's vote for him.
It's who you're watching, too, right? Like, there's only so many. You only have 2 eyes, right? You can only – not everybody can have 30 TVs going at one time watching everybody. And then you go look at LSU versus Ole Miss. Well, the reason he had to stay in the game was it was always kind of within reach. Right? I mean, we're 35-7 at halftime. He goes out there and does the first series, and he's over 300 yards. He had 4 touchdowns. And at the end of the day, you have to look at the sum of what he's done within what he's done or how he's done it, right?
The body of work.
And that's, the body of work. And the other thing, too, is there's not anybody else on the LSU or even in Alabama that stands out in comparison to their quarterback, whereas here you have what J.K. has done, and you also have what Chase Young has done on the defensive side of the ball. So you have 3 people taking away from that pie that is Ohio State potential Heisman candidate from that one school. Mm-hmm. And then in all reality, listen, we probably got 3 true Heisman contenders here. One as a running back who's the best in the country, 2 the best defensive player in the country, and 3 one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country.
2 now, with 2 going down.
Yeah. So if you look at it that way, he should definitely be in it. The benefit for him is that he's only a redshirt freshman. And the other thing that it shows is the selflessness of all three of those guys not to go say, hey, Coach, I got to get my stats up. Hey, Coach. And the coaches aren't putting them in the situation regardless to do that, right? Yeah. They're so focused on, hey, the mission at hand is to beat Penn State. It's one game at a time, white belt mentality. That's it. So that's what they did versus Rutgers, right? It wasn't the 91 or 80-0 that we thought,
or 70
right?
That I thought, right?
Like that guy did you know what? Here's the other thing, though. That guy did a really good job as the interim coach, and this is what it takes away. He's coaching for a job opportunity next year. Yeah, that's what he's doing. Right.
Somewhere else.
Well, somewhere else, or still on that staff because he's a New Jersey guy. If Greg Schiano would keep him, right? Because the guys played hard for him, right? So that's why, right? It bodes to his resume. So you saw that last week. However, moving forward with all of our guys and what Coach Day has done, it's one play at a time, one game at a time. Keep enhancing what you need to, what you do well. Let's blow up what you don't do well because we need you most this week versus Penn State, and that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and I like to look at the Sagarin rankings more than any other polls or anything. And so, Doss, if you're talking about a Heisman moment, one of those things that us in the media love to harp on, you're playing number 8, number 9, and potentially number 10 if Wisconsin beats Minnesota.
Correct.
From those 3 games, you're going to have a real opportunity to do something.
And late in the season where the voters can see you play. So we got 3 nationally televised games coming up for Justin, and it's a great opportunity for him to play at least, let's say you got 12 quarters, 6.
Let's play at least 5.
My favorite thing was JK.
You hope he gets half of it.
Exactly.
That was my favorite thing was after the game, JK was like, it was asked, are you ready for a 4-quarter game? And he was like, who said it had to be one?
Right.
I was like,
yeah, look at that guy, man. I love that. What great confidence. That's the other thing, too, whereas LSU, they end with Texas A&M. I don't know who they have next week.
I think all their challenges are done.
Right. Yeah. So again, like perception is reality. As we play Penn State, as we play that team up north there, as we play in a conference championship game, like those are the 3 biggest games of the season that will resonate because it's the freshest on people's minds on how you perform in those moments, right? And that will definitely help jump them, all of them up. Because it's going to shock the world when they're like, man, J.K. runs for 150 and he throws for 300 yards and Chase has 4 sacks. You're just like, what the Sam Dickens?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that definitely plays a role. You saw when the committee came out with their first rankings, Ohio State, the last game they saw was Wisconsin.
Right.
Big game. They went out and showed out. So they're number 1 in the rankings. So it definitely has something to do with it.
All right, a lot more to come here as we break down Ohio State, Penn State on Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. You're going to take a quick bite right here and get a quick word. We'll be right back.
Hey, college football fans, it's Zach Bourne here. You need to check out BetDSI.com. BetDSI is a great way to use your sports knowledge to make some extra cash. That's right. BetDSI is the top-rated online sportsbook. They've been paying winners for over 20 years. The reason they've been around that long is because they have got the fastest payouts in the industry. Plus, the user interface and mobile site is the best in the business. Play, win, and get paid. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if it's college football, the NFL, NBA, NHL, UFC, esports, reality TV, virtually anything. You can bet it. You can bet on it at BetDSI.com and get paid right now. There's no better way to add some excitement to games that you already are watching. Check out their live betting, where you can bet on games throughout the entire matchup, every play, and every minute until the end. BetDSI has a special deal for Lettermen Row fans. Use the promo code ROW100 to get a 100% bonus match. That's more than double. That's right, more than double your money to start winning today. Once again, go to BetDSI.com and use promo code ROW100 and get this limited 100% bonus offer to make some extra cash on the sports you know and love. BetDSI, promo code ROW100. Now back to the show.
All right, welcome back in here to Roosters for Lettermen Live. Schlegs digging into that big Italian sub as all. You need a fork or something? Or
weekly digging.
Let me get this guy some wet wipes over here.
This guy works up an appetite, attack and dominate every day. So we barely touched. We mentioned Chase Young early on here. You got the glue man over there, Chives, bringing the napkin for Schlegs, though. Look at this. We talked about Chase Young in the Heisman race there. We kind of glossed over the fact that he's missed the last 2 weeks, and he's returning for Penn State. It's stupid that I'm even talking about it. But how big of a difference is that going to make when you put the best player in the country back out there?
That's going to make a huge difference. I mean, he's going to dominate the front line. They're going to account for him on every play, and he's still going to wreak havoc. It's just a matter of how much havoc he's going to, put on Penn State. You can see he's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder. He's going to play all 4 quarters. He's going to be excited to know he has a chance to play a complete game and get the monkey off his back, missing the last 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to him coming out and truly, dominating whoever across from him, 2, 3 guys. They might have to get a fourth, get somebody out the stands to try to hold him back. But Chase is probably definitely going to be excited. The defense is going to be excited to have him back. I mean, we just had our lowest output and, sacks, this past weekend.
They had 1.
Yeah.
That's coming off of a 7 versus Maryland, right?
Exactly.
So they only had 1. And part of that is the older guys that were not traveling, right?
Yeah.
Now we get him back. We get some of those other guys back. Because that's what you got to have. You got to affect the quarterback in the college game, right?
And I would assume, too, Coach Johnson probably didn't put a lot of stunts up front. Wanted to keep it, a little bit
vanilla.
I don't think I saw any blitz, and I only watched it live the first time through. I don't think I remember one until the second quarter.
Right.
And he instantly got a sack on it.
Exactly.
And maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly, but it was a very vanilla defense, I thought. You guys know better than me what you saw, but I don't think they wanted to do anything outside of the basic stuff against Rutgers.
Exactly. And they're going to have the game plan ready to go. It's going to be tightened up. Coach Half, Coach Johnson, and those guys are going to have this thing teed up.
You knew they probably didn't need to come out with a whole lot. They just figure, hey, let's go throw our base stuff at them, not show Penn State, Michigan anything, and we'll take care of business. The other D linemen have to be the happiest people that Chase is coming back, because now they're going to be singled up. They're going to be freed up to maybe make some plays in a big game.
Devon Hamilton, I mean,
2-star guy, by the way.
Pickerington guy.
Yes.
Zach Bourne was breaking him down on Buck IQ for us. That'll be out later this week. He's got 4 sacks in the last 3 games. That's finally getting him some of the pub and acclaim. He's been doing it all year.
Yes.
And I don't think that it's Chase gets the attention, but Devon Hamilton, Ja'Shawn Cornell, Tommy Togiai, Robert Landers, these guys have been phenomenal. And all of a sudden, if you've got this situation, Schlegs, where you're trying to put, as Doss said, 2, 3 guys on Chase Young, and you have one-on-one against Hamilton or Cornell, I don't think anyone can block those guys one-on-one.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's especially against a quarterback like this, where he's maybe going to want to step up into that pocket and run from there. I mean, Cornell and Hamilton are sitting right here. They want you to come. They're already pushing the pocket back, and they're going to be in your lap already.
Yeah, and part of that, too, is they're going to go into where, hey, we're going to play man, right, single high safety, and we're going to dead dog a running back because he has to stay in there and protect. Now we're going to add in a linebacker to that mix. So, yeah, you're going to have people that are going to be free because you bring Chase back because he's so good, right? But those guys have done a great job, and what they've really done a great job at is stopping the run, right? Like as a linebacker, it's really easy to play linebacker when you got guys that take 2 people. Because then I just scrape over the top and make a play. It's like, go Bucks,
Schlegs is the man.
Yeah, this guy's amazing. Great read. No, I didn't even get touched. Right?
And it takes it back to a great point. As you stated, Clifford's going to have to run the ball. He's their second leading rusher, statistically for Penn State. So they got a running back by committee, 3 guys kind of splitting those carries, but Clifford is the second leading rusher on their team.
And then that goes to what you're talking about, Schlegs. You have Malik Harrison running around. You've got Tuff Borland playing well, Pete Warner.
And Barron, hopefully Barron comes back.
Get Barron back from that core muscle situation. We'll see. I mean, he's going to be hurting for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But you guys know, if you're going to play, you're going to play against Penn State and Michigan. You're just not going to miss.
No, you're just not going to miss. You're going to figure it out. Duct tape. Duct tape cures off.
But the linebackers, how do they factor into this with what you've got going there with Sean Clifford and chasing him down and this Penn State rushing attack?
Yeah, at the end of the day, what they've done a really good job as they've been able to read and react very, very quickly. Everybody knows where they need to go, and they understand the fits. Like, that was always a problem that you saw the last couple years. Where do I fit on this play? Am I outside? Am I kicking, pressing it back in, or am I spilling it and then another guy comes over the top? Where are my D-line going to be? There was a disconnect between where my fits were. But when you have great communication, you know exactly where you need to be. Guess what? As soon as I see the play to my left, I know exactly where my tackle is. I know exactly where my end is. I know where my fit is to my down safety or my outside linebacker. Boom, I can attack it and meet it at the line of scrimmage or in the backfield, which narrows the gap for the next hitter to come in, be a free hitter. That's what they're doing, right? So you have these D-line up front. The linebackers are being able to read and react and understand exactly where their fit is, and they're tackling. That's the biggest difference, in my opinion, from this year to the previous 2 years, besides the communication and knowing what to do, right, through your alignment, assignment, alerts, and adjustment. It's the fact that we're tackling well in space.
And the big thing, as you stated, with the collective group, they're playing unselfish. So you don't have a guy being undisciplined, jumping out of his gap to put someone else in a compromised position. Everyone's playing unselfish and going, I do my job, I know my guy's going to do his job, and what makes us very sound.
Yeah, do your job well, right? That's it. That's what they're doing. Because if you look at the stats, it's leading tackler is 6. Second leading tackler,
it's been that way all year.
6.
Yeah.
Second, third leading tackler, 6. And then 5, 5, 5, 4, 4. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is being the number one defense in the country, Silver Bullet style.
Yeah.
Bam.
And Justin, both of these guys, when you add in Chase Young, we talked about this the suspension last week. On Monday when we were in here, we didn't know exactly how long it was going to be, but I had been reporting that it was probably going to be 2. Got that word on Wednesday. How confident were you that Chase Young would be back in time for these big games?
Oh, I without knowing exactly what happened, we still don't know, who it was, how much it was, we all hear what it is,
Yeah, sure.
Speculated.
Yeah, speculated. I figured 2.
Okay.
I didn't think they would want the outrage of him missing the Penn State game, because the NCAA, everybody loves to hate them. And, Ohio State fans are pretty
influential.
They like their team. So, when the NCAA comes out and says, you know what, he's going to miss that Penn State game, the outpouring of just hate is going to go all at the NCAA. So it didn't surprise me a ton.
Since all of you guys were in school, I feel like the mentality elsewhere, not just for somebody's own team, has shifted more towards the athlete. And I tried to ask Gene about this, and maybe I didn't get right to it, but with the name, image, and likeness, it seems it's hypocritical for them to have tried to hammer Chase Young and push through this legislation at the same time.
Well, the fact that they had already basically said, yes, we're going to do this in 2 years. Hey, schools, get your act together, get your stuff together,
plan,
let us know. And then, however it comes out, this or that or the other, it's paid back, but hey, we're still gonna. It just seems silly with this coming down the road, and thankfully it was those 2 games, and the big 2 at the end of the season he'll be there for, and will be full strength.
But the hypocritical thing is the fact that players have to sit out immediately while coaches get to continue to coach, right? And again, if you look at what we talked about last week as far as the examples of 1-game suspensions and what people took, that's why we thought it was 1. And then when you hear the comments that Gene made about the why, right? So immediately they got word of what transpired. The best thing that Chase did was he was very authentic. He was very transparent, right? Person of integrity. Yeah. Hey, listen, he made a mistake, okay? So, I own up to it. I'm accountable. I'm transparent, right? Then Ohio State was able to understand everything that went into it, say, hey, listen, a violation probably did occur, so we're going to sit him. Then we're going to expedite this process, and they give it to the NCAA, who then can come back with a very quick judgment as to what the 1-game suspension should be, and that is versus Rutgers, right? So, and also, it was a business decision. Let's do this now for a Rutgers and a Maryland, as opposed to potentially let's play him for Maryland, and then he'll sit out Rutgers and potentially then Penn State. Correct. But the biggest thing is they did it really, really quickly, and that can only happen if Chase was transparent and authentic with them as to what exactly transpired, right? So the hypocritical thing from the NCAA is there's still coaches out there under investigation that are still coaching, whereas when a student athlete is under investigation, they automatically have to sit.
They're guilty until proven innocent.
I don't remember Bill Self missing many games.
And here's the crazy thing, if it's a student athlete, then they go and void victories and potentially don't allow you to go play, and that affects ultimately the entire team, whereas a coach, it doesn't. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But you also have to have some guideline. I know everybody's seen the Kentucky player, $1,500 or whatever it was from an agent, right? 1 game. Yep. So you got to have some kind of thing. All right, well, this is why Chase Young is 2 games as opposed to this person being – because you think for a flight to get out to California, you're thinking what? $1,000 to $2,000 he probably got, and he paid it back. So how are you doing this, NCAA? That's the frustrating thing.
And I said it to these guys last week. If there's a Chase Young autograph signing, which you'd be allowed to do if this was 2 years down the road, who does he need a loan from?
Right.
He's going to go get his own money. Mike Dawson, 2002. His name and image and likeness has never been worth more.
Right.
Justin Zwick when he's starting games. Anthony Schlegel when he's out there with those 2 other dudes. As long as Carpenter, as long as he's got his other 2 linebackers, he's making some money too.
That's right. That's right.
The trio, they'd have been all over this.
I'm only saying that because there's 2 guys in between.
They'd have had a wig. They'd have had a wig deal or something going on back in the day with that long hair they had.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right, I better take a break before Schlegel comes over here and shuts me up a little bit. Rolling right along here on Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters.
Hey Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for 2 to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 lower-level tickets. One bowl prize winner chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at your favorite Roosters or at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun, casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
All right, I survived. I gave Schlegel some more food to avoid a black eye. Is Lettermen Live here, getting set for Saturday, Ohio State and Penn State, high noon. You guys liking these noon games still?
I'm fine with it. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Terrible.
You got, I mean,
I'll say it.
I mean, Fox is trying to, market themselves against College Game Day. I mean, you got some big money into your commentators. I mean, so you got a good panel, and you want them to be seen. You don't want them to, not be seen, so you want to lead it right up to kickoff.
I think it's more a ploy to, all right, our noon games probably don't get as much coverage, so let's throw Ohio State in because we know everybody will watch an Ohio State game no matter what time it is. As a fan, as a player, noon game all day long.
Okay.
Because you get out, you get to spend some time with your family, you get your Saturday night kind of free.
Right.
So that was cool. But as a fan, as somebody who, has stuff to do. I got to mow the yard Saturday morning. I got to do this, that. You got your kids, this or that.
I want to enjoy the tailgate.
You want a 3:30 or 7 or,
Everybody's different. For me, I'm ecstatic because I'm doing the fan at 6:30.
Oh, well.
And then I'm done at 8:30, and then I go right to the deer woods because it's November
Fair.
and the rut is going. So
I
I'm
guess
like,
everybody has their priorities.
Because they got DVR now. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm just sitting up in a tree like, oh, man, go Bucks.
You can watch the game in the tree.
It's crazy, right? Because you couldn't keep everybody happy with these start times.
No.
But for Fox, they've got what they've wanted because Ohio State, as Justin said, is a huge draw.
Yeah,
and Oklahoma, it seems like they're taking turns.
Yep.
Whoever's going to have the noon games and big noon kickoff. I mean, I'm in the media. I want to be out of there. I don't want to work till 2 a.m.
It's the same type of thing, yeah.
It's like everybody's that comes back.
Right.
You don't
Post
understand.
game,
And I'm like, hey, I get it. If you want a tailgate, you probably want a night game.
Absolutely.
I don't. You'll never hear me
Well,
advocate for
here's
it.
another thing to think about for this whole noon game versus night game is what does that coaching staff think? Because you got kids who played Friday night coming into a recruiting visit Saturday, and some of them live how far away.
Yeah.
So you're making it hard. You're making it hard on them. Yep. Is the atmosphere as fun in the shoe at noon as opposed to an 8 o'clock or even 3:30 game? No. So you're bringing these kids in. You want to show them how awesome the experience is. And there's nothing better than a night game in the shoe. And, coming out with the fireworks. I mean, they've done a lot of cool things down there. Selling that program to those kids. That's why Urban had all those night games.
Hey, coming to Ohio State, we're going to play at noon.
Yeah.
Well, my counter,
every week.
Every week.
My counter to that, guys, was always, why is the atmosphere for the game, it's at noon. It's always live. Now, there's not fireworks. I get it. But it's like, I think the opponent matters so much more.
I mean, it's the time of the build-up, too, right? It's the whole build-up, tailgating, drinking, the alcohol gets in everybody's system.
I mean, 06, my senior year, nobody else was there, but we had a 3:30 game against Michigan, 1 versus 2.
Yep.
The lights were on at the end of the game. It was dark outside. Like, that's awesome, fun football right there, in my opinion.
Pretty good atmosphere for that one.
It was decent.
That was amazing.
It was decent.
A lot of fun.
All right, so this particular matchup, that will start at noon. I think it'll be live, top 10 matchup. Justin, I want to start with you because if I'm looking at this, Penn State's got a really good rush defense. Might be able to put up some points. I think they're number 2 in the league in scoring. So if Justin Fields has to go win this one against Penn State's secondary, where maybe they've looked weak, can he get it done this week?
Yes, 100%. You even look at – you just look at the game last week. Indiana, they've always been a team that can throw the ball, put some points on the board. They were in that game last week.
Right.
I mean, they killed themselves in that game. And that's throwing the ball downfield. There were some wide-open guys. Receivers were running pretty free. Mm-hmm. You do that against an Ohio State team. I mean, Justin Fields, we've seen all along, he hasn't missed the layup. Yeah.
Right.
And you always say at quarterback, if you got somebody wide open, you don't miss the layup. Don't try and aim it. You just make sure your guy can catch the ball. Now, they all haven't been that, but you get my drift. He makes those plays. And, if we got guys running open on Saturday – the offensive line's been playing great, giving him time to get downfield and make his reads, and he just amazes you every week with what he's able to do.
Doss, let's assume that KJ Hamler can play. Is he the most troublemaking player on the Penn State roster in your mind?
Absolutely. He has double the catches of their second leading receiver. So, he has over 40 catches. He has over 700 yards in production. So, I mean, he's the guy. And punt returns, they need him on punt return, kick return. They're trying to use him. He's very dynamic. So we got to make sure our eyes on where number one lines up.
Okay.
Wherever he lines up, we'll base our call as a secondary based off where he's going. And then, secondly, we got to keep an eye on the tight end. This would be what we talked about, the bullet position.
Yeah.
It's going to be a key week for that position that we talked about all year. You know, who's going to be guarding that tight end? Are we going to match him up with Wade? Are we going to bring in, White? Are we going to, so it's an idea of exactly how you want to match up. And the big thing is, Clifford, is he going to run the ball? Are they going to do RPO and actually make him a threat? And that's the chance they're going to have to take, but we could potentially knock him out the game. Chase Young coming on a blind side hit,
right.
2 linemen hitting that guy, he might tap out. So you just never know, as we stated, that their offense is productive. They're going to move the ball. They're going to be sound. But I think our skill set and how we tighten up on defense will dominate those guys and maybe give up 13 points.
Schlegel, what's going to be the difference on Saturday?
Well,
We're just going to make this a sponsored segment.
Yeah, with the difference, exactly. No, I think it's going to be our D-line versus it's up front, right? So it's our D-line versus their offensive line, of which you saw Michigan be able to take over the game versus them up front. I think our D-line is significantly better and will definitely affect the game. 2 will be if we can establish the run, because, again, we played Wisconsin, number 1 defense in the country, and we ran all over them.
Yes.
Right? If we're able to do that with Penn State secondary, we're going to be able to hit those balls down the field for big play opportunities. And, again, Penn State is a big play type offense. Like, that's what they lived and died on.
Yeah.
And we don't give up the big play. This isn't Ohio State defense of the last 2 years, right? This team keeps everybody in front. They're very sound. They're very disciplined. So the big plays aren't going to be there. It's can they keep drives going with their feet when we're in coverage or somebody gets flushed out of the pocket, right?
3rd and 2, can he convert it on a slant, or is the quarterback going to tuck it and try to run?
Even 3rd and longs, is he able to get free on a couple where he's scrambling, trying to keep the play open, and then he takes it up and is able to pick up a couple first downs. That's how you have to have that kind of play, I think, to move the ball against this Ohio State defense on a regular basis.
Yeah, and here's what we do really, really well, and you saw it last week, but we take turnovers and we score touchdowns off them, right? Like, that's what really got the Wisconsin game out of reach very, very quickly. All of our games, I feel that whether it's Chase or somebody's going to make a big play early in the game, like we saw it at Rutgers, where boom, turnover, short field, capitalize really quick. Next thing you know, you're up 14-0. Then they're going to have to go away from their game plan, and they're going to have to start trying to make those big plays to stay in it, right? Because if not, it's going to get out of reach very, very quickly. And we're finally, I think, going to see a 4-quarter game from all of our guys because, again, they could score. Next thing you know, it's quick. They're not going to pull the dogs off, right? They're going to let them hunt the entire game until it comes to a point where, nope, it's out of reach. We'll get some other guys in potentially at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter.
And it's key. Arnett, Fuller, Okuda, again, Wade, this is going to be their style of a game where they actually get to show as a collective unit for 4 quarters who they are, and they'll be challenged as Penn State is going to try to make big plays, so they'll get a chance to be challenged. And can we get a couple of INTs from our corners or Jordan, making a great play in center field, and they're going to try to little trick 'em, dick 'em kind of plays, mix it up here and there, maybe a couple.
Get gimmicky, trying to just catch the defense off guard, something they haven't seen all year long, for a cheap score, and look for that early in the game just to try and snap some of that momentum away from the home crowd and being in the shoe.
Reverse pass.
Hey,
they're going to do everything. They're going to do everything they can because at the end of the day, they're number 9 in the country, and we're just really number 1, but rated number 2.
Well,
there's a big difference.
It's the East Division.
This is for the East, right?
Yeah. This is the game right here. Yeah. And I feel like it's kind of funny because Ohio State keeps talking about wanting to challenge and test itself against the best. It's like that doesn't necessarily mean they want to play a 4-quarter game.
No.
Yeah.
Like, who's complaining about blowing out 10 people in a row?
Nobody.
Right.
No, they like it, but they'll also rise to the occasion because they've been in competitive excellence their entire time. Like, you want to go prove yourself against the best, right? So, exactly. And so this will be a test. And it's also, this is one of those type of signature wins for James Franklin to go, hey, I won the East. Because, again, people are speculating that he could be the next guy at Florida State or the next guy at USC. What better way to go when, hey, you know what, we're going to pay you $10 million to leave Penn State to come out to Southern California, right? So he doesn't really probably think that way. But ultimately, as a program, they need something like this to grab a hold of because there's nobody else in the East that can compete with Ohio State right now, especially if you've seen it on the recruiting circuit.
Yep. All right, Lettermen Live brought to you by Roosters. Winding down here, you know what time it is now. It's prediction time, score
Okay.
prediction. Hey, and like we said, we got to own up, right? Self-evaluation. 91-0. Didn't pan out.
Didn't
for me.
work out so
well. I took a shot.
I did too, man.
I felt uncomfortable writing it. Like, it's easier just for me to say it on Monday.
Yes, it's
but then
real.
I wrote it like it's on the internet forever now. I didn't take the post down. I'm gonna live with it. I got 91-0. I missed it. I'm gonna have to do better this week, Schlegs. What do you got?
I've been contemplating this. I have no
The number
clue.
is 19, up to 19.
Oh, yeah, it was 18 and a half
Yeah.
like 10 minutes ago.
Vegas knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, so
most of the
I
time.
think it's going to be over 21. I'm thinking somewhere, 45, 48, 17, 48, 17. I'm going to go with that, 48, 17.
Justin, what do you got?
I was going to say 38-17.
that
I
sounds
think
cool.
they get a couple scores,
That's
maybe
21.
a field goal late or something like that. But I think the game's in control, and we got
Yeah,
it.
Schlegel is right in my wheelhouse. I was thinking kind of that 45, 48, and they're either going to score 13 or 17 points. I mean, I think that's so let's go 49-17.
All right. 45
Okay.
45-10.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a good, score.
I still just don't think this Penn State team has the firepower. And I don't think anybody in the Big Ten does.
Nope.
And I said it at the halfway point during that first off date. Ohio State is head and shoulders above everybody in the Big Ten. If you're waiting for a test, I think you're going to be waiting until the playoff. And I think they'll go through next week, and every win in the Big Ten will be by double digits. And they'll go 13-0 into the playoff. We'll see what happens.
Yep, I agree.
Hey,
That's
knock
a
if
good-
you're with me.
Yeah.
You're with me for sure.
All right, great to have Anthony Schlegel, Justin Zwick, Mike Dawson with me for another Letterman Live at Roosters. A great time, great conversation with these guys. Looking forward to Saturday. Full coverage coming all week at LettermenRow.com. Stick with us. I am Austin Ward. We'll see you next week right here on Letterman Live at Roosters.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Letterman Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and we got Buckeye IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.